Hello, everyone. Good evening and happy Thanksgiving if you are celebrating it. Thank you for joining me here today. And feel free to raise your hand and speak if you need to. If you want, you can also put it in chat. Some people have already found the chat. It should be on the left side, which should look like a text box to activate it. And this event is posted across Meta. So if you are coming from a different group, um, I would just like to thank the event organizers for allowing me to host this event. And this format for the meetup is pretty straightforward. We'll watch videos and then we'll comment around these videos. And after that, we'll go on to the next video. And the question of the week today, we can get into that. And we still should have some more people coming. So as they trickle in, they'll just join. And if you do have any videos that connect spirituality and or sciences, feel free to post it in chat, and I can load it in for you. The question of the week is: how would a higher mind or consciousness organize information? Could it just be a simple file and cabinet system, or something more complex? And the reason I thought of this question is I watched recently Bruce Almighty, and in that, when Jim Carrey goes and visits the god, I think it's Morgan Freeman that's playing that character. There's this big cabinet that comes out of the wall, and it has everything about Jim um, in the movie. And I was like, wow, that's pretty efficient, especially in the day of AI. And I was like, hmm, if the file link cabinet is one dimension and it is, well, actually three dimensions, and it holds two-dimension objects in there, would it mean that the higher dimension has no influence on those pieces of paper? Or would the higher dimensions just be a reflection of the information? Similar to this concept of the Indra's net, or this concept of Rumi that talks about the ocean being in a drop of water, or the water being in the ocean. Or could it be something completely different? Maybe it is a hypothetical cloud, so to speak, which is again a group of raindrops of water. I'm curious to hear if anyone else has any comments about that particular question. Feel free to jump in. Thanks.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So, when it comes to information, in my opinion and experience, because I'm all digital too, I'm actually having even a server at home. Storing information or data is taking place and money, cost a lot of money too. Either you buy it online or you have your own server, you still need to repair and to maintain your server, basically. And it's kind of nothing is forever. The technology is developing. So I find it difficult. What do you mean with, because a drop of water in an ocean is a big thing. One drop is small, but many drops make big water, which takes a lot of space too. Um, I think, do you consider space a question? It's a thing, or space doesn't count in this question?
It can be any way how you want to interpret it. That's a good question because now you are limiting um, the viewpoint by, okay, a drop of water could never be the size of an ocean if you put it in equivalent terms. But let's assume that that drop of water has no limits. I mean, it could be an alien drop of water, which would be, let's say, a planet in the world that exists, that's 100 times the size of Earth. So maybe its raindrops proportional to our could be an ocean. Um, and I think there was that kind of concept shown in Men in Black, where they had the cat and it had a pendant, and when they zoom in on that gem or the pendant, it looks like a galaxy spiral enclosed. And the little alien that was sitting in there was a small person kind of guiding a humanoid body. Um, so it's definitely a unique perspective, and yeah, you could hypothesize a metric of dimension being space or time,
Mm, can I still
and that
talk?
could add on. Yeah.
Am I allowed still to talk, or somebody
Oh
else?
yeah, feel free.
Okay. I just don't want to take up space. Maybe other people want to say, so interrupt me if somebody wants to say to talk. Um, do you know when I use AI in Photoshop, it generates approximately a certain amount of imagery when I use AI to create something. So basically, I have to restart. Even my computer is expensive and new, so I have a lot of RAM. But even me, I have to restart 15 times, approximately up to 20 times a day, my computer if I want to continue working with AI. So it takes space, good stuff. It takes space. And I feel like my computer is even too slow and too weak for it because it makes me restart over and over again to clean up cage. And yeah, I feel like good information to store information and being able to use it is space, and space is weight, and weight is money. Maybe I'm on the wrong path, but
No, I love that because then the question comes of recycling or cleaning or optimizing or summarizing or condensing, which is, if language is too complex, you could say something in just one word, or you could say something in 10 words. And that's where depth comes in, right? And it's funny, we're talking about raindrops and ocean. Oceans has depth, and that's part of it too, right? I mean, in let's take the example of the movie Bruce Almighty. The file cabinet could come out, but theoretically could just be one piece of paper. So yeah, I definitely like us exploring this concept of information, but information as a word was also told to me as, if you split up the word, information, meaning you can also visualize it as a brick of walls, and each brick is part of that information forming the wall. Yeah, that's what I feel, and thank you so much for sharing. Does anyone else have anything add to that particular question of the week? If not, we'll start with our videos.
So, to begin, let's venture into the chaotic and elusive universe of prime numbers. This is Factor City, where the primes are literally the building blocks of all numbers. Now, every whole number is a building, and it's been constructed out of its primes. The one-story houses are exactly the primes. Now, thanks to the ancient Greek Euclid of Alexandria, we know that the one-story buildings keep going on forever, if you can walk that far. But depending on where you're standing, you might want to know, how many one-story buildings do you see around you? In Euler's time, mathematicians were trying to understand the general structure of infinite series. What that means is, you're trying to add up an infinite sequence of numbers, like 1, a half, a quarter, an eighth, and so on forever. Sometimes that total sum is a finite number, which we then call a limit. If a series has a limit, we would say that the series itself is convergent. In this series, our limit is 2. On the other hand, if we were to add, let's say, 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 forever, well, that sum would eventually become larger than any finite number, and so we would say that that series is divergent. To take complex inputs, That is, he allowed s to be a complex number. So let's take the complex exponent s equals 2 plus 3i, for example. We can plug it into zeta, and the function will look like this. Now, if we add each term one at a time in the complex plane, we can see how the series begins to spiral beautifully. So, Riemann had successfully accomplished what he set out to do. He extended the zeta function to the complex plane. 1 billion non-trivial zeta zeros every single day. The computer was looking for a single errant zero. If it found just one, then the Riemann hypothesis would fall apart. In the end, of the 10 trillion zeros that the computer checked, every single one was on the critical line. But if you see a pattern holding again and again and again, it's still impossible for machines to check it all the way to infinity. So brute force computation will never resolve the Riemann hypothesis. That means there's still only one way to be sure of it, and it's the same way that the ancient Greeks did their math. Rigorous, absolute mathematical proof.
Okay, that's the end of that video. I haven't watched it yet, so I was really surprised to look at the cardio functions again. I took a couple of notes. I'll go first, and anyone else want to add comments, please raise your hands and or questions. He mentioned something in the middle where he said spy and squares, which reminded me of the Da Vinci's Vasivini Man, which is interesting because like in the picture, the way it's shown, the man is almost touching the outer circle. And spiritually speaking, people talk about sky's consciousness, and that's when people tend to get taller and have, I guess, magical abilities. So it's interesting that it kind of hinted to that. Um, and then the complex functions. I also found it interesting that only positive values converge, and the absoluting function is similar to like a electronics component, where it's called a rectifier. And if I'm not mistaken, what it does is it takes all negative values and brings it to zero. So that way, a, a sinusoidal wave, for example, would look like humps only, not like the crest and like the peaks and the valley, only the peaks. Um, and to the end, proving of the Riemann hypothesis. Um, I have like a poetry line. I just realized it's like finding the zeros in the field of zeros is just on the zeta fence. So that's my take or input from that particular video. Any comments? And if you have any questions, uh, I'll try to answer it. I'm pretty rusty in math.
Universe. This is the Standard Model. It describes how everything in the universe is made of 12 different types of matter particles, interacting with 3 forces, all bound together by a rather special particle called the Higgs boson. Before we get going, some caveats. First, I said 3 forces, while there are actually 4 fundamental forces at play in the universe. This means there's something missing from this picture, and that something would be gravity. The most obvious force at play in the world around us, and yet, in many senses, the one that we understand least. The caveat is that the Standard Model is written in a language known as quantum field theory. This tells us that matter, at the fundamental level, is not really made up of particles. Instead, it's made up of fields, fluid-like objects which are spread throughout all of space. These fields are engaged in an intricate, harmonious dance to a music that we call the laws of physics. The interactions between the fields produce the physical world in the form of particles. To understand the Standard Model, it's more convenient to use the language of particles, since the first few seconds after the Big Bang. So there we have it. 4 matter particles. 3 that make up you, me, and everyone we know. and one very peculiar cosmic ghost flowing through us all. But here's where things start to get weird, because nature didn't stop there. For reasons that we do not understand, she took this collection of 4 particles and made 2 further copies. This means that there are actually 3 different kinds of electron particles. In addition to the original electron that we know and love, there are particles called the muon and the tau. The muon and the tau behave exactly like an electron, with one important exception. They're heavier. The muon is about 200 times heavier than the electron, the tau almost 3,500 times heavier. Hey. We just learned that the strong force binds quarks together to form protons and neutrons, creating the atomic nucleus. The weak force has the astonishing ability to allow quarks to switch their identity. A down quark can turn into an up quark, releasing an electron and a neutrino in the process. This means that a neutron can morph into a proton in what we call radioactive beta decay.
Oh wow, that was a pretty heavy, interesting video. um, and the beauty in beauty fix is that there's just so many different theories you can expand or extrapolate on. So don't be afraid to share your own theory. You never know, maybe it'll be true. A couple of questions and insights that I found that I'd like to share with you guys is I found it very fascinating that there was like this dividing line or demarcation point for matter and forces. Um, and I would also say forces is like this wave concept where you can interchange particles with waves or waves with particles based on observation. And my hypothesis on the gravity could be gravity is the process of observation because by viewing things, you basically influence it, and maybe it's the pull or push that occurs when you open your eye or close your eye. That's my concept. uh, Open source for now, because yeah. But and the other thing that I found interesting in the video was when he's talking about nature, how it has this extra variety of the same particles. It kind of reminded me of redundancy that you can have, um, and it's interesting because if you think of or it could be like you can imagine if you're like a game player or game master, you're playing on a certain level and you want to explore a new region, and the game developers haven't quite developed the game, so it's a beta, and maybe that is what those redundant particles are, whether it's tau or muons. I think that maybe it's just a trial version of what is working, and when something breaks, you kind of default back to the default mode, which would be the normal electrons and or protons. So that's kind of the line of thinking that I have. Yeah, go ahead, Sona. Um,
Actually, I will try because I have to admit, and I'm not being shy or embarrassed, that I'm not good in math or physics, but I'm good at relating to the math to the nature. Because that's the purpose, no? The math and the physics, how it's related to the nature. Um, you agree or no? It's everything
yeah,
is
yeah,
yes,
exactly.
yeah, the math.
That's
Okay, yeah. So I wanted to ask you when you started, you mentioned the name of a Greek philosopher who was curious about connection between the earth and us. Who was the name? What was the name? I
uh,
wa-
so you're referring to the first video, I think.
you
Riemann.
mentioned one name
Oh,
only, one Greek philosopher. You mentioned one.
um, I don't 100% recall, but the people they mentioned was Gauss. They made that like step format,
Yeah,
and
because in
then
the
one.
beginning you were saying that, okay, even the Greeks, they were trying to figure out how human beings are made of, the nature, this and that.
Yeah.
And
So yeah, I personally don't remember what the video mentioned, but
yeah,
what I'll be doing is I'll be taking a recording of what we said and I post it
because
on
I have a
YouTube.
point to make about it. Okay,
Ah, okay.
This is what I'm going to say about that. Okay, because how I'm able at least to see the connection with the life, with life, that's it, with life, the earth, the world, the people, the human beings, the nature, everything, mathematics and physics. That's, I can see the connection. So I was doing recently presentation. I was asked actually to do a presentation about Sicily. Okay,
Yeah, okay,
so
go ahead.
so and so I was, because I visited, so I had to do it, the presentation. And because I like history, I was digging even more and more and more the things that I, I, I was there physically in Sicily, but I didn't pay attention to the flag of Sicily, because even Sicily has its own flag. Okay, I have a point to make at the end, which is related to what we're talking about. So when I was going to do the presentation, I came across the flag and I said, what is this? Let me do a little bit of digging. You know, when I was there, I didn't see it properly. Anyways, I ended up finding that on the flag, there was today's flag, which I mean, they took it from 7th century BC, BC, 7th, okay, 2,700 years ago, when Greeks, they were using coins, or like, you know, today we have the evil eye, stuff like that, you know. Back then they used to have this, the three-legged with the face of a woman. Okay, and the point of this three-legged woman that they used on the coin, which became today Sicily's flag, they took it from the 2,700 years ago, and that three legs represented, I have it actually, and I just loved it, which was related to what we're talking right now. For and people in the past, they were able to connect the dots. Today we have videos, physics, we have access to everything, but people in the past, they were already doing the connection, the with the nature and physics. That's my point. I'm gonna just see if I can grab that image, only the image that I have.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
You know, what I was working on, it has to do with physics and with math, everything you're discussing, you know. Even I came across another topic which is similar to this. People who have achieved, have you, if you ever heard about I'm changing the topic, but we're still sticking to the connection of physics, math. We're still on the same topic, but I'm taking a little bit different route. People who are able to achieve the bird's eye view. If have you heard about that expression? The bird's
Yes, I have.
eye. Yeah, maybe you were in my group that when we were discussing this topic. Maybe, I don't know. The bird's eye view, which is like, it's only people, certain people have achieved it. Which is, one of them is Einstein. Even though I'm not good in math, but I know how they achieved it. Einstein, and I also discovered, like, Buddha, the first one who discovered the Buddhism, you know, Dalai Lama, the first one. And a couple of people like that, they have achieved that connection, the spiritual and consciousness that we try to figure out, but they have achieved it. And Einstein had achieved it through math. He was able to see that the bird's eye view that we are saying, I don't know if I'm expressing properly, the eye, anyways, that's the, you get the point. It's the bird's eye view. It's seeing it from the top. Okay, and the opposite of seeing from the top is the frog's view, which is like, the frog is always in not a mud, but how do you call it, like, you know, the space, I forgot the name. Always the frog is sitting on that piece of looking more up, it's more like describing two types of people. If you want to talk about two types of people, people who see things from the bottom and people who see things from up. So very rare people have achieved it, and Einstein has achieved it through math, seeing the universe through math. Or Dalai Lama, the first one, has seen the consciousness or the connection between the earth and the human being, the consciousness, through spirituality. But we literally can count on our fingers those people. And going back again to the people in the past that I was saying, they were able already, like today we have access to all these things when we're still trying to figure out. But human beings during this, like 3,000 years ago, the Greeks, they had already this natural connection. So they had on the coin, I will try to grab it. Meanwhile, you guys, if you want to speak between you, amongst you, the time I'm going to grab it. And if you like what I'm saying, or if you relate to what I'm saying, please go ahead and share your opinion.
Yeah, no worries. Take your time. I always look at it another way too. The way I phrase it is looking at the big picture, or putting all the puzzle pieces together and looking at it that way. I always you view perspectives of different people, and like different people are holding different pieces of the puzzle, and when you bring people together, you get different pieces of puzzle put together and makes a different picture every time. um, I know it's kind of counterintuitive because most of the time the game boxes that you get, or for puzzle boxes, they always repattern the picture that they have kind of demonstrated on the cover. But
Mm-hmm.
if you say if all pieces fit with all other pieces, then you could come up with another picture. So imagine taking three or four different boxes of puzzle and putting a new picture using the same pieces that are in there. It
Mm-hmm.
might not look good, but could it be done? If the pattern of the curves are same, it could match. So that's the way I look at it.
Okay. I think it's a little bit different the way that I think, but this is the way I was connected. I don't know in the group if there are other people who understand what I'm coming from or they relate to what I'm relating to. I wasn't able to share. Like, can I share the
Yeah,
page
you
and show
can.
you?
So easiest
Okay.
way to share, if
Yeah.
it's a it's picture
Yeah.
on your screen, you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
just
I'm
hit
doing
start
it. Yeah.
share,
I did it.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
Can
you
you
can
see the
see the
page?
picture. Yeah, the flag
Yeah,
with
so
legs.
this is the current flag actually. Okay, this is the current flag. Okay, this the red and the yellow. And when I was there, I saw a lot of places, and even the touristic areas, they had plates like this. When I came and when I was asked to do the presentation, I did some digging and I found this is like 7th century BC. This, and it meant literally this three-legged man, which was Tregamba. It's the past, the present, and the future. When it says somewhere, either the man who was speaking, he said he showed the man who was talking about the physics. He showed after showing. He said there are. He mentioned that there are three dimensions in life, and then he added the fourth one. He said, however, is what is it called? The fourth one is the what is it called? The one the energy that pushes
Uh, Gravity.
gravity. Yeah, he said it's three. He said, however, he added the fourth. So main, he said three. Then the three functions through the gravity. He said, and then he took us to a picture after showing us the math, the physics, to the mountains. Then he said, you see, he said, you see that he showed the nature, the mountains, And he said, everything on earth, he said, in the universe are based on those three things plus the gravity, he said. And he was showing the mountains and the world and the earth. Okay, I don't know. I saw it because I was like able to connect with that. And as you say, I'm going to end it by just adding that these three legs represented 7th century BC for the Greeks, the past, the present, and the future. Also, the naissance, the birth, the life, and dead. So everything goes through this cycle, even the math, through gravity, though. This is being held through gravity.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. And when you show the picture, what
Uh,
I
uh,
really like
you want
was,
to, yeah, yeah, yeah. I can, I don't know how. Actually, let me see if I have. I think I even have something else there, even more interesting, which is not
yeah,
today's
but
topic.
yeah, if
But
you don't,
today's, yeah, I
yeah,
can
go
tell you
ahead.
even more. It's not today's topic, but what I discovered, the face in the middle, it represented also, unfortunately, you know what, the females today, like in all religions, not only Muslim or Christianity, in all religions, it started literally with the Jews, I think, the first one, and it continued. And the Christians took it from the Jews took it from the the pharaohs, 5,000 years ago. So nothing has changed in all across the religions. What has changed a little bit, like one has more, the other one has less, but they all talk about the same thing, which also the Greeks, they used it also, which is the woman was the considered as like the evil, like even in the Bible. I'm Christian, but I'm not religious. I don't practice any religion because I know that they all cover the same thing. For me, that's how I see it, in different levels, one a little bit more, one a little bit less. Woman has been always described as the evil force, like Eva gives the apple to the Adam, so she's the one who makes the trouble. In all religions is the same. Even those time it was considered the same. They took it from the Egyptians or the Jews. And the middle picture was an evil woman with a lot of evil hair. It's complicated. It took me forever to study this. I'm not going to switch the topic, but just to make it on a positive end, what the Sicilians did, they replaced the flag with actually it's with the wheat, because Sicily has they're very strong with agriculture, wheat. So they replaced it with wheat. Instead of having woman with having snakes around her head, they replaced it with wheat, which was again the Greeks, they had a goddess, the goddess of wheat, because the bread. And it used to call it Oublon, the god of Oublon, which today in Latin or in French, I speak French. In French, when you want to say the wheat inside the wheat, or that white cover that covers the main important part of the wheat that we should eat, which is not the white, the brown, it's called Oublon. So it stayed the same. It's the goddess of wheat. So I know I took another path
Oh no,
on the
don't worry.
conversation.
It's fine. And you
Yeah,
mentioned different religions, and the point I wanted to make is that those three limbs look very similar to the swastik symbol that Indian people use.
Indian, yes,
And
yes,
the swastik is actually represents four directions, which is
yeah,
what the indigenous people in North America, or the Native Americans use.
yeah.
So it's very fascinating that there is similarity, and you also kind of hinted to the fourth limb being missing, which would be gravity.
Well,
So
that
it's a
man
good
who was,
connection for sure.
yes, yes, the man, he said himself, I don't know, because I'm not good in math, as I said. He said the main one are three, he said. I'm assuming because you know that the gravity, the Newton discovered recently. During those time, during the Greeks, they didn't know about gravity. So that's why the gravity came after. That's why the man, the physician, he said, not the physician, but the man who was talking about physics, he said it's three mainly, and they are governed by the gravity.
Yeah, it's fun, fascinating for sure. And I just find it interesting that yeah, they must have not understood what gravity meant in terms of mathematical or
Yeah,
defining in physics. But
it's
everyone
recent.
knows that
Gravity
if
is
you drop
recent.
something, it
Mm-hmm.
falls, and that feature exists from day one.
Yes,
So yeah,
yes, yeah. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, yeah. I liked what I saw. As I said, unfortunately, I'm not good at physics, but I was able to do some connection as much as I am interested in history, geography. Those things allowed me to be able to connect with the story.
yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Does anyone else have to add any final comments? If anyone wants to, please raise your hand, and then you can go ahead. All right. And if not, I'll just say thank you, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving again. I will get the
Thank
video
you.
out as fast as I can edit it. I'll put it in the meetup comments and hope to see you guys again. Thank you again and take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.